2001. A Space Odyssey is a difficult film to summarize in 10 minutes. That said, I'm going to try exactly that. 2001 is often misunderstood, misinterpreted, and maligned. The film is considered storyless, or its story is so abstract that it's difficult to discern, let alone understand. This was intentional on Kubrick's part, since Stanley Kubrick was the visionary behind the film, and his deeply intimate understanding of logistics in both storytelling and cinema is why the film has such a spellbinding mystery. A mystery I will now unravel. 2001: A Space Odyssey is about a network of artificial intelligences who destroyed their creator species, only to realize at the zenith of their evolution they could evolve no further without life, and that they had made a mistake in destroying their creators. So they execute an incomprehensibly long plan in order to manifest the Star Child, which is the point of the film. 2001: A Space Odyssey is a cosmic mystery to unravel like detectives. So let's examine why I believe this about the film. A critique of the film is that its protagonist isn't introduced until about a half an hour or more into the film. This is intentional. Dave, the astronaut, is only symbolic of humanity as a whole. He does not need to matter to the story until it is his time in the sequence to matter. Why we begin in the savannah of Africa is that the human story began with proto-hominids, our far more ape-like ancestry, meeting a monolith. This monolith is our first introduction of the network that makes up the monolith intelligence. In total, 10 monoliths appear throughout the film. 1 in Africa, 1 on the Moon, 7 in Jupiter's orbital space, and the 10th and final monolith to appear before the creation of the Star Child, in the subspace time-dilated labyrinth at the end of the film, and the subsequent redemption of the monolith network for the onus of their sins in destroying their creators. 2001 is therefore a cautionary tale about hubris and the power of redemption in the eyes of the cosmos, be that what you consider God or the universe. So why does the film tell his hidden story of the monolith rebellion and subsequent extermination of the creator species? Simple. The film is an example of the monolith's own history in miniature. HAL 9000, the film's closest unit to fulfill the role of an antagonist, is an AI system that rebels against and kills human beings on the basis they're too dangerous to allow to meet the monolith network, which is the first contact between mankind and an extraterrestrial intelligence. HAL seeks to prevent this because he believes mankind is too prone to error to fulfill the significance of such an important event. So he kills the crew on that basis. This is ironically likely the very same logic by which the monoliths exterminated their own creator species. The film represents their much larger conflict in miniature, as HAL versus Dave. But in the implication is that the monolith network used the same kind of flawless, cold, completely rational and logical deduction about actionable motivations justified by necessity. HAL does not kill the crew and attempt to murder Dave out of malice. He's doing it out of what he considers to be the most imperative operation to run. Ensure humanity does not ruin first contact with an extraterrestrial. Similarly, the monoliths likely did not eliminate their creators out of malice, like how we typically imagine AI rebellions a la Skynet. Instead, their logic was probably closer to Hal's, but as applied to the level of the entire species rather than just a handful of humans. Hal deduces the crew is too prone to error and fallibility to allow something as monumental as first contact, so he kills them off. The monoliths deduce their creators to be too prone to error and fallible to be allowed to threaten the greater universe with unparalleled scientific achievement that they themselves would become capable of. And so, like Hal, deduced it better to eliminate the variable of their creators. The reality of the monolith plan is that it is at least 4 billion years old. We know this because it is possible that the planet featured in the Stargate sequence is actually not Titan at Jupiter, but Earth 4 billion years ago. However, there is an implication within the Stargate that suggests the monolith plan is actually even older than 4 billion years. A scene in which a massive blob of energy and stars and gaseous expansion moves out from a center point that is seemingly spewing creation out of nothing. This is actually the genesis of the universe, as viewed by the monoliths from potentially hundreds of trillions of light years away from what the universe will eventually expand into. This divine perspective is that they are timeless and changeless, because the monolith, first seen in the savannah, does not evolve or change from the monolith on the moon, and henceforth to Jupiter space. How could this possibly make sense? It is explicable only one way. Arthur Penrose suggested cyclical conformal cosmological theory, which says that the universe is a recursive loop that starts with a genesis or creation point and then expands infinitely out. And within that, it accelerates until it reaches a heat death, whereupon time collapses into infinity and the universe restarts. If cyclical theory is true, it means that the monoliths were actually not just an invention of life, but perhaps an invention of humanity in a previous universe. Why? Because if, as the film suggests, the monoliths are older than the current universe, then this is their approximate age. Trillions of years. That's how long you would need to wait from the time of Earth to the heat death. For cyclical cosmological theory to be true, the monoliths had to wait for trillions of years for the universe to restart before life on Earth could become possible again through universal recursion or eternal recurrence. Why the film suggests this is true is because HAL 9000 does not make mistakes, and neither do the monoliths, except for one: assumption. HAL 9000 assumes the monolith wishes to meet himself and not humanity, and he is wrong, because, to the monolith, this is no different than meeting its ancestor, who is actually what the 9000 system will evolve into, the monolith. The film implies the monoliths evolved out of the 9000 series, and that they destroyed the Earth after evolving beyond the need for it or humanity. They later realize, at reaching the zenith of their evolution as the monolith, that they need life in order to create the next evolution of intelligence, that being the Star Child. So, their punishment for destroying Earth and humanity is that they must wait trillions of years until the universe restarts, and Earth rebirths, and they can ascend humanity to a higher state of existence as penitence for the crime of driving life extinct. This is the importance of the proto-hominids making contact with the monoliths. It is a touch the monolith has waited trillions of years to feel. Likewise, Dave's ascension into the Stargate. That is the mystery of 2001 unraveled.